Before I start this video, I just want to say, this is not a list of the 15 best tools in the world. Here's a list of 15 tools that annoy Milwaukee and DeWalt fans. If you think contractors choose tools based on color, logo, or online fanboys, you probably haven't spent enough time on a construction site. Out there, tools aren't just for work. They're about time, progress, and money. Tool broke mid-job. You lost money. The tool is sent for a 2-week warranty. You still lose money. Tools stolen from the construction site. You lost your entire week's salary. And that's why Hercules exists in this story. Not flashy. No flashy advertising. But it's easy to buy back, easy to replace, exchange at the counter on the same day. And most importantly, it gets the job done. Today, we won't be talking about the most powerful tool, but about the tool that causes you the least pain when something happens. Because outside the construction site, the survivor isn't the one who buys the most expensive tools, but the one who manages risk best. And if you still think cheap tools are bad tools, this list might make you reconsider. Let's get started. If you ask any construction worker which Hercules tool is mentioned the most, the answer is almost always this 1/2 Ultra Torque. It's not because it's beautiful, nor is it because it's the cheapest, but because it does the job people need most. No need to say too much. This is simply a wheel removal machine. Pickup trucks, construction vehicles, and some people even use it to remove semi-truck tires. There's a comment saying you have to replace 3 5-amp-hour batteries to finish one semi-wheel. Sounds scary, but the problem is, it works. Don't stand by and watch, don't give up, and don't order more steamed dishes. Just pull the trigger and the bread comes out. The price is around $200, compared to a large Snap-on or Milwaukee, which can cost $800 or more. And at that point, the real question was no longer which one was stronger, but rather, which one would help you get the job done without breaking the bank. Did the tool fall off the ladder? Borrowed and lost. Stuck in the middle of a job. At this price, you're frustrated, but you don't give up. A mechanic commented, "This Ultra Torque can remove things that my father's 5-year-old Snap-on couldn't." Whether it's true or not, perhaps everyone should verify for themselves. But at least it says one thing. Hercules has entered the real game, no longer just a backup for fun. So, what about you? Have you ever struggled with a stubborn lug nut? What impact are you using, and has it disappointed you? Tell me about yourself in the comments. If you like these on-site chat-style shares, subscribe to the channel so I can continue to delve into the tools that real professionals buy first. Now let's move on to the next item, the drill that many technicians buy right after getting this Ultra Torque. After having an impact to remove the cake and tighten the screws. The next dish almost everyone buys is this 20-volt hammer drill. It sounds normal, but outside the construction site, drilling is something that happens every day and cannot be avoided. The first thing that surprises many workers is the feeling of holding. No rickety, no cheap clothes to hold. Metal chuck, firm hand lock. Turn and hear a clear clicking sound. It feels like some big brand drill that you once borrowed from the worker next to you. The only difference is that you don't have to pay the big brand price. Regarding force, let me tell you frankly, wall drilling, light concrete drilling, wood drilling, thin iron drilling, it makes it smooth. No need to bend down to look at the parameters or compare torques with anyone. Just know one thing. Pull the trigger and the drill bit will go away. Don't twitch. Don't stand in shape halfway. With workers, that's enough. But what makes contractors believe this drill is not the force, but the consequences when it fails? Some people use it for about 2 years, drill it all day, then one day it turns off completely. Bring it into Harbor Freight. Say the right thing. It's broken. The staff nodded, gave the new tree, and finished. Not sent anywhere. No waiting. Don't ask. So, think about it. If it's the drill you're using now, it's dead in the middle of a job. What do? Wait for warranty or pick up your wallet to buy another tree. Next, I will talk about the impact driver, which many workers use more than drilling, and is also the easiest thing to disappear on the construction site. If you have to choose a tool that is borrowed the most, used the most, and lost the most, it is definitely the impact driver. Outside the construction site, The impact is almost never left in one place. Run screws, shoot corrugated iron, erect frames, install doors, catch hinges, everything will reach it. And that's why so many contractors choose to impact the Hercules driver. Not because it's the fastest or strongest, but because it's strong enough to do everything every day, and doesn't make your chest tight when it gets lost. To put it simply, this one does framing screw shooting all day. Screws eat sweet wood, no coffee, no screaming. Running on corrugated iron does not pull your hands. Hold it for a long time and don't get tired of cheap clothes. Most importantly, it doesn't make you think. You pick it up, pull the trigger, you're done. For workers, that's okay. Price somewhere $70 to $80 tool only, while large brand impacts can be double or triple. And then the real question is, if this impact falls off the ladder, or someone borrows it from you, will I not eat well and sleep peacefully? For Hercules, the answer is usually no. You get upset, then go to Harbor Freight to buy it. Continue working. There is a sentence that I find very true in the comments section under the review. Impact driver is the tool you borrow the most, so don't buy something that makes you regret it. So, what about you? Is the impact you are using the tree that is most often taken away by others? Have you ever bought an impact just because you were afraid of losing it? Next, I will talk about a tool that few people pay attention to, but those who make iron, pipes, and job sites actually buy it very early, and many people are surprised to see that Hercules has it. Portable bandsaw is not the type of tool everyone buys on the first day, but if you do electricity, pipe, metal, or do a lot of job site, sooner or later you will touch it, and at that time, a lot of contractors chose Hercules, simply because it is present and it makes sense. This is a saw to cut pipes, cut iron boxes, cut thread bars, cut strut, things that if using grinder, sparks fly everywhere. And if using a hand saw, cut until the afternoon. Bandsaw is different. Cut smoothly, neatly. Do not fire. Stand close to the material and do it safely. What makes many wow workers here is not the terrible power, but the price. Hercules sold this one for about $129. While the Milwaukee version is equivalent to more than $300 tool only, this means that if you work in a profession but are not sure how to use bandsaws every day, spending more than $300 on a saw that is needed occasionally is very difficult to swallow. The other $129 is much easier to decide than, a worker said. At worst, it's still worth the money at this price. And that is the mindset of the contractor. They don't need the most perfect saw. They need a saw to be present when needed. Plug in the battery and cut it. Don't have to pull the wire around. Don't have to run back to the shop to get another tool. So think about it. In your work, how many times do you wish you had a bandsaw right then and there? And if you only use it a few times a month, will you choose a $300 child or a $130 child who can do the job? If you find these off-site tool analysis tools that talk to each other useful, sign up for a channel so you can continue to dissect the items the contractor actually hooks up with first. Now, I will switch to a dish that almost every job site has, not to show off, but to make money every day. Coming here is the dish that many contractors hesitate the most, but buy it sooner than they think. Hercules 10-inch job site table saw, because outside the construction site, sooner or later you need a saw to put down to do the job, not to call the shop, not to tomorrow. To put it bluntly, it's not a saw to make furniture. It's not for you to look at every mill for the wooden cabinet in the house. This is a saw to cut plywood, rip 2x4 cut framing, and do some things to help the job continue running. And it does those things smoothly, evenly, without losing breath. Price is about $350. It sounds like money, but next to a DeWalt set with a stand of about $550 to $600, the problem is completely changed. For many contractors, especially small teams, the difference of $200 to $250 is gas, supplies, or crew food. There is one point that surprises many people. It has brakes, not something you show off to anyone, but something you find valuable when the saw blade stops quickly, especially when you work quickly, get tired, and at the end of the day, Cut 2x4 thick plywood. It doesn't scream, doesn't stand, just push. For many workers, those who work directly off-site can use it. So, the question for you is, do you need a saw to beautify yourself or a saw to pay the bill? If these types of shares are exactly what you're looking for, sign up for the channel so you can continue to peel off the items that the contractor actually bought first, not the items to display. Next, I will talk about another saw combo, something that many people buy as their first saw when they start their own job. If there's one combo that a lot of workers buy sooner than they think, it's Hercules miter saw with stand. Not because it's the best, but because at some point you can't just cut your hands, cut it, or take the wood back to the shop forever. Work starts to get bigger. Work starts close, and you need a saw to put it down, and you can do it right away. This combo is around $500 for both sawing and stand. It sounds like money, but if you've ever looked at the price of full-footed Makita or DeWalt sets, you'll understand why many people say, yes, this can be swallowed. It's not a saw to make some display cuts, but a saw to cut trim, cut boards, cut 45-degree angles off-site quickly, neatly, without much thought. The point that workers like about this combo is quick setup. Legs open, put saw on, lock and run. Don't worry about swaying. Don't have to temporarily put up with bricks. With a contractor, less setup time means more working time. It's that simple. A worker I know said, "This is the first tool for many people, not the last tool." And it's true. Many workers start with this combo, work for a few years, earn money, and then upgrade. But in the meantime, this saw has been paying for itself for a long time. What about you? Remember the first miter saw you bought? Which job does it help you get first? Next, I will talk about a dish that few people pay attention to, but those who make corrugated iron and metal shells buy it extremely early. Nibbler is a tool that no one notices when they haven't used it yet, but once they use it, they don't want to go back to the old way anymore, especially if you make corrugated iron, metal cases, HVAC, siding, or jobs that have to cut sheet metal regularly. To put it simply, what was corrugated iron cutting in the past? Grinder howled. The spark flew like fireworks. His hands were hot. The smell was burning. And after finishing work, he had to grind it again to avoid sharpening. As for Hercules 20-volt nibbler, it feels like press-pull on metal, cold cut, no spark, no shot, no startle every time you pull the trigger. The most important thing is the cut line. It's not nice display style, but straight, compact, not warped. After cutting, you can install it. No need to go back miles or miles to repair it. Someone said something frankly that I found very true. Since Nibbler, I haven't returned to grinder anymore. And that sounds a bit excessive, but if you've ever had to cut corrugated iron in a narrow space, indoors, or near flammable objects, you'll understand. No spark is not only convenient, but safe and saves head fatigue. The price of this one is not as cheap as the basic tools, but it is also much easier to swallow than the large specialized tools. More importantly, it is a tool that is not used every day, but every time it is needed. It is worth the money. Contractor buys it early, because they know sooner or later they will encounter a job they need. So what about you? Are you still cutting corrugated iron with grinder? Or have you ever tried Nibbler? If not, are you willing to trade the noise for a quieter cut? If you like small dishes but do exactly this, register for the channel so you can continue digging up the tools and use them before seeing the real value. Now, I will talk about a compact 12-volt tree, but extremely martial in tight places. Many people who hear 12-volt immediately shake their heads, like, very weak, that's all. But the workers who used Hercules 12-volt reach Ratchet Dragon thought differently. Not because it's strong, but because it does the right things that big tools can't do. Here is the ratchet tree to get under the taplow. Thread it behind the machine. Reach into the snails you can't see. Not to remove the wheels or tighten stubborn snails. The longer than usual body helps you not have to break your wrists or lie twisted like a shrimp. Squeeze the trigger lightly. The snail turns evenly. Less fatigue, less swearing. Price is about $55 tool only. It doesn't sound too cheap, but compared to Milwaukee's 12-volt trees or the $170 to $180 DeWalt, this is the price that makes many contractors say, yes, you can buy it. And the reality is that a lot of people buy it not to show off, but to keep my back after a few years of working. Someone commented, 12 volts is not weak, it just does other things. This one doesn't take spotlights, doesn't roar. No one asks to borrow them, but every time it is needed, it is in the right place. And outside the construction site or in the garage, such trees often live the longest. What about you? Do you have any tools that you rarely use, but every time you use them, you find it worth every penny? Or are you still twisting those annoying snails with your hands? Next, I'll talk about a dish that Harbor Freight made a long time ago and is still their specialty. If there's one tool that Harbor Freight has been doing well for a long time, it's angle grinder. Before Hercules was born, many workers were used to buying grinders at Harbor Freight simply for one reason: they could do the job, without much thought. And to the line of Hercules, that story continues. Hercules' cordless grinder falls around $80 to $90. Not shockingly cheap, but enough for you to say, yeah, buy it. It is used for some very old things: cutting iron, cutting bolts, sharpening quickly, light demo. Not something you pop up to enjoy, but pop up to get things done. That angle grinder is a unicorn. One user jokingly said so. The idea is that it is rare to see a grinder that is both strong enough and does not make users feel sorry for money. The corded version is a different story. Plug in, turn it on, run without thinking about the battery. For many workers, especially metal makers, this is still a more secure choice. Don't worry about the battery falling in the middle of the cut. Don't have to change the battery while you're busy. To put it simply, having electricity means having force. The important thing is that both versions carry the true spirit of Hercules. Not flashy, not showing off parameters, but holding them up is knowing they were born to be thrown around. Falling to the floor? Dusty. Run continuously. It doesn't promise to live forever, but promises to do enough before it breaks. So what about you? Are you a cordless team that's convenient to use, or is the corded team just to be sure? Is the grinder you're using the most sacrificial plant in your kit? Next, I will talk about a dish that sounds like a side dish, but appears many surprises in the workers' comments. Heat gun is a tool that no one shows off. No one compares the parameters. But whenever it's missing, the work stops immediately. And that's why so many contractors buy Hercules heat gun sooner than they think. Users of this child commented that it was so hot that it shrank the shrink tube for a few seconds, causing the epoxy to flow evenly, peeling off old paint, softening the glue, and making some areas that needed quick adjustment. Hercules announced it was up to about 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit, which sounds like a number. But in real life, it simply makes me feel hot right away. Not waiting forever, but not paying. Price is about $50. For many workers, this is a purchase price that doesn't take long to think about. Not something you use every day. But every time you need it, it's very necessary. And if it falls, scratches, or is borrowed and forgotten to be paid back by someone, you will be a little upset, not regretted, all week. The interesting thing is that heat gun appears all over the comments, but it's all in some very real sentences. If you use it all the time, if you have something to do, take it out. If you don't have it, you'll immediately feel missing. No one writes an ode, but everyone keeps it in the car or in the shop. So think about it. In your kit, is there anything that is rarely mentioned, but if you don't have it, you will immediately feel uncomfortable? Is heat gun one of them? If you find such side dishes that are not side dishes worth mentioning, subscribe to the channel so you can continue to share the tools that professionals buy for real experiences, not for advertising. Next, I will share about the items that help workers get through the most uncomfortable working days: hot, dark, and power outages. Fans and construction site lights don't sound cool, nor are they something anyone shows off. But in real life, these are the items that appear the most unexpectedly in workers' comments. Because some days, no matter how powerful the tool is, it makes no sense to be too hot, too dark, or lose power. There was a very old comment. Tornado swept by. Power outage for 4 days. and the fans with Hercules LED lights were cam and clutch, like no one noticed until needed. The fan is small, can be mounted in enough space, blows enough air so it doesn't get angry at work. The light is evenly lit, shines in the right place. No need to pull the wire around. The price of these items is also Hercules. Buying them doesn't require much thought. Battery lights and fans are significantly cheaper than other major brands. Broken, scratched, dusty. You're just a little upset. Not so sorry that you want to swear. And more importantly, the battery is in the same system. Get the battery from another tool attached and run. There is a saying that sounds very true. Tools are not just for work, but for living. Outside the construction site or in the garage. Working without seeing or breathing will sooner or later be wrong and tiring. These items don't make you rich, but keep you awake so you don't ruin your work. What about you? In your kit, which side item saves you the most times? In the end, I will close it with the most important thing that no one notices. Battery? Honestly, no matter how powerful the tool is, if the battery is bad, throw it away. Outside the construction site, the battery is not just a battery. It is working time. It is the rhythm of work. It is whether you have to stop midway or not. And this is where many contractors began to look at Hercules with different eyes. In the comment, a sentence appears all the time. No defective batteries. It sounds simple, but anyone who has used the battery tool long enough will understand how heavy this sentence is. Someone said the Hercules battery was caught in the rain, left outdoors, picked it up and cleaned it. Still running. There is no need to deify. As long as it does not die carelessly, it will win. Hercules' largest battery is 12 ampere-hours, priced at about $130. The rule was born to make it easier to understand. With money, a large company's 5 ampere-hour battery, but the capacity is made from morning to noon and still does not need to be changed. With a contractor, less battery exchange means less standing by and looking at the tool, and standing by and looking at the tool. No money. There was a comment that sounded a bit tearful. Can't say that about Milwaukee. Not to criticize any company, but to say something very real. The battery fails sooner or later. The problem is when it fails and how you handle it. For Hercules, switching batteries at the counter. During the day, doesn't have to be sent anywhere. That offsite is worth a lot more than the numbers printed on the box. So what about you? Is the battery you're using the most worrying thing in the tool set? Have you ever had a broken battery in the middle of a job? Finally, I will finalize the entire list and say frankly who should buy Hercules and who should not. At this point, perhaps you can see one thing clearly. Hercules is not a tool to show off, but a tool to work with. It's not perfect. Not every item wins, but with so many contractors, it solves the right problems they encounter every day. Theft, downtime, long warranty, and the feeling of pain when the tool breaks down in the middle of a job. This list is not intended to convince you to remove all the tools you are using. It's just to answer a very real question. If I had to buy it from scratch out of my own pocket, what would the contractor buy first? Now it's your turn. Are you using Hercules or another brand? Which dish on this list do you find most correct? And which dish do you disagree with? Are there any Harbor Freight tools that you use that you find too overlooked? Feel free to comment, share, agree, or object. It's okay to have on the construction site. Debate is normal. If you like the straight-talking content, telling the truth without disguised ads. Sign up for the channel so you can continue to dissect the tools the technician actually uses, not the beautiful items on the shelf. This video is based on personal experience and synthesizes real user opinions. Tools, price and quality may change over time. No company sponsors this content while at hook or not is your right. See you in the next video.